I wasn't really building a pair of flip-flops. I was testing some new ideas I wanted to use on my next shoe. A custom fit model scanned for my own foot, a PEBA midsole that could provide real cushioning, and a separately printed sole that could be glued on afterward. The model and sole came together pretty easily, but the PEBA ended up being more difficult, and fixing it required something a little unconventional. So keep watching to see what it took to make this all work. The last time I tried printing a shoe, I used the Snapmaker UI to print multiple TPUs together in one single job. It turned out better than I expected, and the UI handled thousands of flexible filament tool changes without a problem. The video also caught Snapmaker's attention, and they wanted to sponsor a follow-up video to see what else I could do with flexible material. There's a lot in this build, so let's get right into it. The first step was creating a reliable shape to design around. A normal foot scan would give me the overall form, but it wouldn't show exactly how my foot spreads and flattens when I put weight on it, or give me a clean reference for the arch and bottom contours. There are specialized foams and tools for capturing that shape, but I took the simpler route. I filled a cookie sheet with sand and stood in it, creating the impression I needed. I scanned both my foot and the impression left in the sand, because neither one gave me everything I needed on its own. The foot scan captured the overall three-dimensional form, while the footprint showed where my foot contacted the ground and how it spread under my weight. I brought both meshes into Nomad Sculpt, aligned them, and combined the useful parts of each one into a single reference mesh. I wasn't trying to create a perfect digital copy of my foot. I just needed a clean shape that captured the important dimensions and contours well enough to start designing the flip-flop around it. Once the reference mesh was finished, I created a basic flip-flop shape and printed it to see whether the digital model actually matched my foot in the real world. And it immediately revealed a problem. When I scanned my foot, I'd been sitting with my leg slightly twisted instead of keeping it straight, which caused my foot to rotate and my big toe to spread farther out than it normally would. The scan itself was accurate. It had just accurately captured my foot in the wrong position. So before I could continue designing the flip-flop, I had to redo the scan and rebuild the reference mesh. With the new scan complete, I rebuilt the reference mesh and used it to create another version of the flip-flop base. At this point, I wasn't trying to model every final detail. I mainly wanted to establish the overall shape, make sure there was enough room around my foot, and see whether the contours actually felt right when I stood on it. I repeated this a few times, going back into Nomad Sculpt to make adjustments after each test print, and every version brought me a little closer to a comfortable base I could actually stand on. The sculpted version became the reference, while Fusion gave me the control I needed to turn it into something I could actually manufacture. Once the reference shape was in Fusion, I could start rebuilding the flip-flop as separate components, with the main body forming the footbed and providing most of the structure, the PEBA midsole adding cushioning and rebound, and a separate TPU outsole that could be printed on its own and glued on afterward. With the main shape established, I moved on to the outsole, and because I wanted something with a chunky tread pattern similar to a performance car tire, I used AI to generate a concept image. The image was only being used as a visual reference, so I brought it into Fusion, traced the sections I liked, and rebuilt the pattern as proper CAD geometry. Once all three layers were modeled, I printed the complete flip-flop in PLA, and while PLA obviously wouldn't make a very comfortable flip-flop, it was a quick way to check the overall size, proportions, and how all the separate sections fit together before committing to the more difficult flexible materials. Before committing to a full print, I started by testing just the heel section, and for the first version I used 5% gyroid infill. It was far too soft and collapsed under light pressure. I also tried printing the PEBA and TPU together, but when the PEBA section finished and the printer tried to switch to TPU, the tool head jammed. For the second test, I increased the infill to 20%, but that went too far in the other direction, making the PEBA much too stiff, and once again, the tool head jammed before the TPU could begin. The third attempt used 13% infill, and this time the cushioning felt good and the print made it all the way through. The last thing to dial in was the arch support, and rather than making it a separate piece, I used a modifier to increase the infill only in that area. After a few tests, 20% gave me the support I wanted. The cushioning settings seemed to be dialed in, but those two earlier jams were the first sign that something else wasn't right. Before I could print the full flip-flop, I needed to figure out how the strap was going to work, so I decided to use thin nylon straps that would run in a loop underneath the sandal, with a separate TPU piece forming the section across the top of my foot. The first step was working out exactly where the nylon straps needed to pass through the main body so I could cut the openings and add matching channels underneath the midsole. Once I had the routing figured out, I printed the top section in PLA to check the fit, make sure the strap openings were in the right positions, and test the design on the top surface of the flip-flop. To determine the final strap length, I went back into Fusion and used the foot model to trace the path the strap needed to follow, which gave me the shape of the complete strap assembly. For a quick fit check, I printed that outline at full scale on paper, cut it out, and taped it onto the flip-flop. Once I confirmed that everything lined up, it was finally time to attempt the full print. With everything set up, I sent the full file to print, and that's when the wheels fell off. The PEBA midsole alone took about 8 hours, so I started the print, went to bed, and woke up to a tool change error. The TPU had jammed, pushed out through the side of the tool head, and tangled itself around the changing mechanism, so I shut the machine down, cleared everything out, and tried to continue the print. By then, though, too many layers had been skipped for it to recover. At least the failed print wasn't a complete loss, because I could still test the PEBA midsole. And while most of it felt good, the heel was a little too soft. That area takes a lot of concentrated force, so it needed more support than the rest of the midsole. Looking back at the print, there was also another clue because right at the toe, the TPU hadn't printed at all. I noticed it, but I didn't understand what it was telling me. Before trying again, I added another modifier underneath the heel and increased that section to 16% infill, then sent the print back to the machine. And it failed in exactly the same way. Then it did it again. Because it always happened after the long PEBA section, I thought heat might be the problem, so I removed the hood from the printer to let more heat escape and added small towers for each material, hoping the tool heads wouldn't sit idle for hours. None of it helped. By this point, I'd become very good at clearing jams and could practically field strip a U1 tool head blindfolded. On the next attempt, I watched the print like a hawk, and that's when I finally saw what was happening. On every print, part of the PEBA had slowly lifted from the build plate, and when the printer switched to TPU, the nozzle ran directly into the raised section. That caused pressure to build inside the tool head until the soft filament had nowhere left to go except out through the side. So the tool change wasn't actually causing the failure. It was only the moment an adhesion problem that had started hours earlier finally became visible. After several 8-hour failures, I needed some time to figure out how to hold the PEBA down reliably. I also needed a win, so I switched over to printing the outsole. Compared with the midsole, the outsole should have been a much simpler print because it was only one mesh, and I used the slicer's painting tools to color the tread sections orange. I was also using PLA for the supports, and since it hadn't bonded to the PEBA at all, I was hoping it would release just as cleanly from the TPU. After the first few layers, everything looked good, with the TPU sticking firmly to the build plate and no sign of the lifting that had caused the earlier failures. And for once, the print finished without any problems. The TPU had bonded extremely well to the plate, while the PLA supports barely stuck to it at all, which made removing them from between the treads surprisingly satisfying, especially as the orange sections were revealed underneath. I used one of the midsoles from the failed prints to check the fit, and the two parts lined up perfectly. The textured build plate had also left a nice finish across the bottom of the tread, so the separately printed outsole worked exactly the way I'd hoped. Now I just needed a complete midsole to glue it to. Because the TPU had stuck so well to both the build plate and the PEBA, I tried adding small TPU inlays around the bottom edges of the midsole, hoping they would help hold everything down. It still failed. Next, I scrubbed the build plate with Dawn dish soap, followed by isopropyl alcohol, just to make sure the surface was perfectly clean, and then I tried again. It still failed. In fact, some of the TPU bonded so well that when I removed the failed print, it tore away from the midsole and stayed stuck to the build plate. At this point, I didn't want to try another adhesion trick. I wanted to physically clamp the midsole to the plate, and then I realized there might be a way to do exactly that. So I designed small pins that extended into the front and back of the PEBA midsole, below the area the outsole would cover. Each pin had a large base and was printed in PLA, which I knew would bond firmly to the build plate. If I could make the PEBA stick reliably, I would mechanically hold it down instead. With everything set up, I crossed my fingers and started another print. After a few hours, all of the pins were in place and the midsole still looked stable. Eventually, the printer reached the final PEBA layer and the material was going down smoothly. There was a little artifacting around the reinforced heel section, but everything was still flat. Then the U1 switched to TPU. This was where every previous attempt had failed. The first part of the layer went down cleanly and I kept watching, holding my breath as more and more of it printed. Finally, it completed the entire first TPU layer and moved on to the next one without jamming. It was past the failure point. The print was finally working. After that, the rest of the job continued without any issues. Removing it from the build plate was surprisingly easy, and all of the PLA anchor pins pulled cleanly out of the midsole. For the first time, I had the complete main body printed in the proper materials, which meant I could finally stand on it and see how the PEBA felt under my weight. The cushioning felt comfortable, and the custom footbed conformed to the shape of my foot almost perfectly.
Like a glove?
With the main flip-flops finally printed, the last component I needed was the upper strap, which I designed with 2 channels for the nylon webbing to pass through and a honeycomb pattern through the center. The idea was to keep it flexible and breathable, and honestly, who doesn't like hexagons? Before cutting the nylon straps to their final length, I checked the fit one more time to make sure everything sat in the right position. To secure them, I wrapped the straps underneath a flip-flop and sewed the 2 ends together. I wasn't completely sure the stitching alone would be strong enough, but once the outsole was glued on, the straps would also be trapped between the 2 layers. After finishing the assembly, I tried them on and immediately found another problem. The upper edge of the printed strap was pressing into the top of my foot because while the honeycomb section was flexible, the perimeter had printed as solid TPU and created a much harder edge than I expected. Fortunately, because that section was solid, I could sand the edge down and round it over without damaging the strap. That softened the edge, reduced the pressure point, and made the fit noticeably better. All that was left was to glue on the outsole. The adhesive was going to be critical because it needed to bond the TPU outsole to the PEBA midsole while still remaining flexible as the flip-flop bent during use. After researching adhesives commonly used for shoe repair and plastic soles, Renya Col de Cologne kept coming up as one of the better options. It's an all-purpose contact cement, so it works like most contact adhesives. You apply it to both surfaces, let it flash off, then press the parts together and clamp them while the bond cures. Before risking the finished flip-flops, I glued together 2 small test pieces to make sure it would actually bond the TPU to the PEBA. Once the clamp came off, the 2 materials were firmly attached, so I moved on to the real assembly. The problem was that both parts were flexible, and the tread pattern made it difficult to apply even clamping pressure across the entire outsole. To solve that, I printed a pair of contoured clamping dies from PLA, with the lower die matching the tread pattern and the upper one following the shape of the footbed. Together they gave me 2 solid surfaces to clamp against while spreading the pressure evenly across the entire flip-flop. Before applying the adhesive, the instructions recommended roughening any smooth surfaces, so I lightly sanded both bonding areas with 80 grit sandpaper. I cleaned everything with isopropyl alcohol, applied the contact cement to both surfaces, let it flash off, and then carefully pressed the outsole into position before installing the printed dies and clamping everything together. The adhesive only needed a relatively short clamping period, but I didn't get back to the project until the following day. When the clamps finally came off, the outsole felt firmly bonded, with no visible gaps around the edges. It looked promising, but the real question was whether it would stay attached once the flip-flop started flexing under my weight, so I headed over to the treadmill. I walked for a while and they didn't immediately fall apart, which was a promising start. More importantly, the outsole stayed firmly attached, with no visible lifting around the edges. They were also surprisingly comfortable. The strap was still creating a little pressure across the top of my foot, so that part could use another revision, but the cushioning felt great. The PEBA compressed and conformed to my foot, gave me good support through the arch, and had a noticeable amount of bounce without collapsing or feeling overly stiff. So now that the printing's done, let's go over the results. I love how the sole turned out. The black and orange combination looks great, and the tread printed cleanly, and the texture from the build plate gives a real finished appearance. It was a big improvement over the sole of the previous shoe, which had more stringing and surface issues. The PEBA midsole was also a success. With TPU, I found it difficult to get the right balance. It would either be too firm or too soft. Once the PEBA was dialed in, it gave a much better combination of cushioning while supporting and rebounding. It would compress under my weight without collapsing, but also not feel too rigid and like you're standing on something too firm. The separately glued on sole also worked really well. So far it's bonded on solid and hasn't shown any cases of trying to separate. And scanning my foot made the shoe fit incredibly well. The arch support sits in the right spot, and the overall shape just conforms better to my foot than a generic shape would. Now for the things that could have gone better. The biggest issue was this top strap. Even though I tried to sand down the edge to make it a little smoother, it still puts an awful lot of pressure on the top of my foot. It seems to have broken in a bit over a few days of wearing it, but still after wearing it for a few hours, it's not overly comfortable. I think going with the two straps was the right idea, but I think it needed more support along the center. The honeycomb section seemed to work pretty well, and it adds a lot of flex, but there's no support at the bottom, and I think that adds too much concentrated pressure just at the top and bottom. Having a rigid support running between these two straps might have helped the issue. I also added this pattern to the bottom of the shoe to try to add some kind of ventilation so it wasn't one big flat surface, and that worked mostly. The issue was that these probably should have been level and not embossed. The problem is that adding just sinking these straight in created walls that don't really flex as much as the rest of the material, so you kind of have these hard spots wherever the pattern is. It's not terrible, but it could have been better. If I had chamfered these so the walls were on an angle, they would have been a lot more flexible and collapsed easier. Also, when I was coloring the lines, I did notice that I colored right up to the sides, not just the bottom, and that's what creates this orange bleeding. I don't know if you can see it on camera, but there's this orange bleed at the ends of all of the inlays. That's because the orange is just under the surface of the blue. If I didn't color the ends of it, that wouldn't have happened. And overall, the flip-flop's a little stiff. I probably could have made it a little bit thinner, or engineered some flexing points into the shoe so it would bend a little more naturally while you're walking. So as a finished pair of flip-flops, I give them maybe a 6 out of 10. If I do something to fix the strap so it's a little more comfortable, maybe a little bit closer to 8. But as an R&D project, I give this a 10 out of 10. I proved that the PEBA can be used as a supportive material better than the TPU for the midsole, and that I can glue on a separate sole and it'll bond properly to it. And that really was the point of this build. The next steps is to take what I learned and apply this to another full shoe. The plan is to design my own shoe or heavily modify an existing one so it fits my scanned foot, and then use PEBA as the midsole and glue on a separate sole to the bottom. I may even try casting the sole out of real rubber. I was thinking of making a running shoe, or maybe a hiking shoe with a nice chunky thread. That could also be interesting. So if you enjoy these type of shoe experiments, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss the next one. Thanks for watching. If you're interested on improving how your prints look, I have a full playlist on the left that goes into finishing and post-processing. Or if you're more interested in the technical side of things, CAD, AI, advanced workflows, there's a whole playlist on the right that goes deeper into that.